This is the almighty. This is a 2018 Porsche GT2 RS. Badass car, that's all I can say. And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about how the owner came about getting this car, because that's something I still wanna know, because you just can't get these cars. I mean, I have to believe that if Justin Bieber wanted a Porsche, this would be the one he'd be after. So Brian, who's the owner of this car, had to somehow have some polls to get this thing. But the other thing we're gonna do is we are gonna take this thing for a drive. Now, I got a little understanding of what this is capable of because I was out in Las Vegas at the Speedway. This is the car I took on the track, and I remember when I got done saying to the guy in the car, who needs this much power? So that's what we're gonna do today. Thanks for joining us. This is BYO Porsche. Let's get into it. So Brian, tell me a little bit about this beast.
So this beast is a 2018 GT2 RS, one of my dream cars. It's an absolute pleasure to drive. It's an absolute honor to own.
One of the questions I have, knowing a bit about this, because I tracked it out in Las Vegas at the Speedway,
yes.
And I remember, just real quick story, I remember I took the GT3 RS out thinking this is the ultimate.
Beautiful car.
And then I got in the GT2 RS. There is no comparison at all.
Different animal. You know, naturally aspirated versus turbocharged. This thing is a different car on the track. It is a lot raw, it is a beast. Porsche wanted you to feel the turbos. A lot of times in their cars, they try to mute it. They just want that power to come on. This just hits you like a hammer.
How much horsepower is this thing?
700 horsepower, I believe 690 to be exact.
What does it weigh?
Horsepower. 3,200 pounds.
3,200 pounds and almost 700 horsepower.
That's right.
That makes a lot of sense, because I remember when I first took it around the track, he was warning me, like, be careful, because it'll get out from underneath you. And just coming out of the turns, when you get into the gas, like, dude, it's just a rocket.
It is like a hammer. And this is rear-wheel drive, so you have to be really careful. It's not all-wheel drive like some of the other Porsches. You know, if you start turning off those traction control systems, you better know what you're doing on that track to keep this car going straight.
So one of the things, let's just kind of walk around the car. Tell me what makes this car unique. I mean, it looks like everything's carbon fiber on it.
Everything's carbon fiber, and they actually did some unique things. They made the roof out of magnesium to stiffen it up, because carbon fiber, if it was just completely carbon fiber in the roof, the body would flex too much. So they actually put magnesium, they fortified it with magnesium to give it some strength. But everything is done for weight savings, even the details, and this is what Porsche is known for. If you look at the hood over here, instead of having an actual badge, the badge is just a sticker.
I never
weight
knew
savings,
that.
right? If they're saving ounces.
Some people probably are like, oh, look at how cheap this car is.
Yeah, it's cheap, right?
It's just a sticker.
They just put a sticker on there, but it's all done for weight savings. Even down to the hood, which is carbon fiber. I don't know what the hood weighs, but it's pounds. They put NACA ducts in here. These are ducts that they use actually on airplanes. NASA invented them. And what these ducts do is they help direct air down to the wheels and brakes to cool things down. All this ductwork, all this carbon fiber ductwork, it's not actually for show, but it's actually for aerodynamics. It helps keep downforce on those wheels to keep pressure and keep traction for this car.
But the other thing I like, Porsche does this in all their cars, you know, it's a race car, straight out. But the interior, I mean, come on, it looks like it came out of a luxury car.
It is a luxurious interior. Now these seats are the actual carbon fiber seats. They're a little bit on the stiff side. This is made again for the track here.
And for little guys, right?
And for little guys here. But it's the inside of it is, you know, even though it's a trackable car, they make it plush. You know, the hand stitching. This has the V-stock package on it, so hand stitch seats. Just a beautiful, luxurious looking interior.
And for everybody listening, let's remind them that every one of those little things came with a price tag.
Every one of those little things came with a price tag.
You want the steering wheel to be wrapped, you want stitching to be a different color, you want your seatbelts to be red.
Everything's customizable.
Ching. What else? So like the engine's turbocharged. I mean, what else can we talk about?
Yeah, 3.8 liter flat six, twin turbo, 690 horsepower. The wheels. You know, these wheels too are an alloy, I believe a magnesium alloy. They are ultra lightweight. You could pick one up with one hand.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, so those wheels, they're ultra lightweight wheels. As you kind of work your way back, again, you have the ducting here, all carbon fiber. That is what draws the air into the turbochargers. The wing is customizable. Obviously, you could change the rake on it depending on, you know, if, again, these are for high-level street or high-level racers. You can change the rake on that wing just to get different types of downforce. If you work our way to the back, you probably heard when I opened it, you may have heard some mechanics moving. They have in the back in the exhaust valves that help with the valve note, but also if you see
Oh,
here,
I can see it,
yeah,
yeah.
you can see here. Yeah, we could change the note of the, like a lot of cars, but you can change the note of the exhaust. There's a sport mode, and then there's just a street mode there, so.
Yeah, when you pull up to somebody, you just want to let them know, hey, don't mess with me.
Little extra bark, you can just, you could
so
adjust
pretty.
that there, so.
How did you get this car?
So I went to the dealership locally, and they basically laughed and said the same thing. And they said, maybe you can get on a GT3, and the wait list for that is probably 8 years. And said, well, I really want one of these. So I started looking and calling and making some connections around the country. Ended up talking to Porsche of LA. And just
Porsche of LA.
LA, yeah, of Los
I wonder
Angeles.
how many they get allocated.
They probably get a few, because I'm sure they have some people with some pretty deep pockets
Yeah,
over there.
I'm sure.
So again, like everything else, life is about relationships and a little bit of luck, and I had a little bit of both.
So you're from Buffalo, but you built a relationship in LA?
I built a relationship in LA, and spoke to the manager. We had talked back and forth for a while, and then went silent for a while, which I kind of knew, and I wasn't expecting much from that there. So time went by, but I'd still make a phone call every once in a while, just kind of check in and see how they were doing. And eventually I got a phone call, and I said, this is LA. Who's calling from LA? And it was the manager, and he said, hey, I know you've been kind of looking and calling. He goes, I have a special car for you here. And he goes, we have an allocation for GT2. And I said, no way. And I said, there must be a list of 100 people deep. And he said, yeah, there is. But he goes, you were never pushy. I could tell you just wanted the car. You're an enthusiast. You were going to drive it, not just put it away and keep it for 7 years and then try to flip it and sell it. And I said, no, I'm going to drive it. I'll send you videos of me driving it. I just want to enjoy it. I've said I had a 911 Turbo S in the past. I loved it. I started reading about these when they first came out. I said, oh my God, I gotta get my hands on one of these. And that's what it was. So.
Had you ever driven one before?
Never driven one. Just read about them, saw the videos, the reviews, and I said, this is something I have to have, so.
That's awesome.
This has turbochargers, as you know. So the GT3 naturally aspirated car, this car is turbocharged, twin turbocharged. And what this has over here is, of course, carbon fiber. It's about 1.2 gallons where you put distilled water in. Yeah. You fill that up with water, and what that does is it sprays distilled water on the intercoolers to keep the charge temps down. So when you're racing, you can get maximum horsepower. Again, Porsche thought of everything.
Wow. The one thing I don't like about my Turbo S is it's a pretty tame sound. Like this is a lot louder than my Turbo S.
Yeah.
I thought about putting an exhaust, but I read a bunch of stuff and everybody said don't do it.
Don't do it, yeah. Well, they make them to fit the car the way they want it to be performed. The way they want it to perform. For this, they make exhaust for these, but they've already engineered it to make the most power for what they want.
That's what all the forums I looked at for the Turbo S is like. You could put the exhaust on, it'll make it louder, but you're not going to get any performance gain.
You get a tone, but you're not going to get any gains. And it's funny how they did this. For the Turbo S, they wanted the power to come on nice and linear and smooth. For this, they made it so it hits you like
oh yeah, this is just probably like the, I'll have to let you drive my 930 Turbo.
Yes.
When I get that back, that is the craziest power delivery of any car I've ever driven in my life.
Smooth, it's like,
not at all. It literally hurts you. Folks, that's a wrap for this episode. We covered so much. We covered the journey, how this car came to be, but not only that, we showed you what this car is capable of. On BYO Porsche, make sure you check out my other channel at The Chris Noggle, where you can learn how to get all the money back for every single car you ever buy, drive, and own. It's all about embracing the journey and chasing the dream. That's what BYO Porsche's all about. See you on the next one.